This episode is designed to help you accurately assess your English proficiency. You will discover whether your current level is beginner, elementary, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced, or expert. The beauty of this method is that it bypasses the need for formal testing or the guidance of a teacher. All that is required from you are attentive ears and a focused mind. You will be presented with 6 distinct narratives, each crafted to correspond with a specific proficiency level. The progression is intentionally structured. If a story feels comfortably easy and the subsequent one presents a degree of challenge, this indicates you have found your accurate level. The initial segment targets the A1, or beginner, level. At this stage, the English language is presented in a straightforward and easily digestible manner. Sentences are kept intentionally concise, and the vocabulary employed consists of commonly used words that are readily understandable. If you find yourself comprehending this introductory story with ease, it signifies that your English proficiency is at least at the A1 level. The narrative for this level revolves around a young woman named Anna, who shares details about her life. She introduces herself, mentions her age, and explains that she resides with her parents in a modest house. This dwelling, she describes, is home to a small dog named Max, whom she cherishes deeply. The house itself is characterized by its 3 rooms, a living area, a kitchen, and a bedroom, and is maintained in a state of cleanliness and tranquility. A nearby park serves as a regular evening destination for Anna and her dog, where they engage in activities like walking and playing with other canine companions, while Anna finds a moment of rest on a bench, appreciating the park's natural beauty. Her daily routine includes waking early, preparing and consuming breakfast, and attending to her personal hygiene before heading to her place of employment. She walks to her job at a small shop, a journey that takes approximately 10 minutes, where she is responsible for selling goods, handling monetary transactions, and assisting customers. Her work environment is positive, with a kind boss and tasks that are not overly demanding. Her midday meal is typically had around noon, and after concluding her workday at 5 in the afternoon, she returns home. Despite arriving home feeling tired, she finds happiness in preparing dinner for her parents, during which they share conversation and laughter. The evening's activities include household chores like washing dishes, followed by leisure time spent watching television, listening to music, or reading. Her day concludes with her retiring to bed around 10 in the evening, often with her dog beside her. Reflecting on her day with a sense of contentment, she concludes by stating that though her life is simple, she experiences happiness daily. Following this, we transition to the A2, or elementary, level. At this stage, the English language begins to exhibit a greater richness and demonstrates improved cohesion. Sentences lengthen, and the discourse will increasingly focus on daily routines, future plans, and typical day-to-day activities. If you can follow this narrative with minimal difficulty, it suggests you are at least at the A2 level. The story for this level introduces Mark, who lives in a comfortable yet compact apartment situated near the urban center. His living space comprises a small kitchen, a bedroom, and a living room, and his window offers a view of a park and several tall trees, where he often hears birdsong in the morning. Mark works in an office, which is not far from his residence. He typically walks to work, a journey that takes about 10 minutes, though he opts for the bus when the weather is inclement. His workday commences at 8:30 in the morning and concludes at 5 in the evening. His responsibilities include managing phone calls, sending emails, and supporting his manager with various tasks. Mark characterizes his colleagues as friendly, and they frequently engage in conversations during their lunch break. At lunchtime, he often visits a nearby cafe with 2 co-workers, where they discuss their families or upcoming weekend activities. These gatherings are often filled with laughter, as one of his colleagues is known for sharing humorous anecdotes. After completing his work, Mark does not immediately head home. Instead, he dedicates an hour to exercising at the gym, a routine he finds helps him relax and feel revitalized after a demanding day. Around 7 in the evening, he returns home, where he showers and changes his attire before preparing a simple meal, sometimes enjoying it while watching his favorite television program. His weekends follow a different pattern, often involving social engagements with friends in the city, which may include having coffee, exploring the city, or watching a movie. On pleasant days, they might spend extended periods conversing in the park. Finally, we arrive at the B1, or intermediate, level. If you found the preceding story easy to comprehend and natural in its flow, your English proficiency is likely at the A2 level or higher. The B1 level introduces more complex sentence structures and a broader range of vocabulary and topics. The narrative for the intermediate level features Liam, a computer technician who has been in this profession for nearly 6 years. His work involves repairing laptops, installing new software, and assisting individuals with their malfunctioning devices. Liam explains that he finds his job engaging due to its blend of logical problem-solving and creative thinking, likening the process of resolving unique issues to solving intricate puzzles. His workday begins at 8 in the morning. Upon arrival, he prepares coffee and reviews the day's repair schedule, while some tasks involve minor issues, such as a faulty keyboard or a slow computer system. Others are significantly more complex, requiring him to spend hours diagnosing and testing various components. He acknowledges that these challenging situations can be frustrating but expresses a sense of pride and satisfaction upon successfully resolving them. Liam describes his colleagues as supportive, often assisting each other with difficult cases, and emphasizes the importance of teamwork and learning from diverse perspectives. After work, he prioritizes decompressing, often by walking to a nearby park to listen to music or enjoy the tranquility. Upon returning home, he prepares dinner and engages with online content, typically documentaries or short films in English. In the evenings, he pursues online courses focused on new computer systems, with the long-term goal of establishing his own business. He believes this endeavor, despite the considerable effort involved, is worthwhile, driven by his desire for independence and the aspiration to assist others in his own capacity. Weekends are generally dedicated to relaxation, which may include meeting friends or embarking on hiking excursions in the countryside. If you've comfortably grasped the previous narrative, it signifies that your English proficiency is at the B1 or intermediate level, and you are now prepared to advance to B2, the upper intermediate stage. At this level, you'll find yourself capable of comprehending longer narratives and more intricate ideas. The speaker's delivery will be noticeably more fluid and assured. You will encounter natural idiomatic expressions, comparisons, and thoughtful reflections on both professional and personal aspects of life. The story at this level is told by Nina, a freelance graphic designer. She recounts her transition from a secure position in a large company, where she was responsible for creating logos and advertisements. While the job offered stability, a good salary, and pleasant colleagues, she eventually felt a sense of stagnation and boredom due to the repetitive nature of her work. She realized that despite the external appearance of a satisfactory situation, a crucial element was absent: personal growth. Yearning for greater autonomy, creative expression, and control over her schedule, Nina made a significant decision 2 years prior to leave her corporate role and embark on self-employment. She vividly remembers her final day at the office, a mix of excitement and trepidation, filled with well wishes from her colleagues but also a daunting lack of a concrete plan, clients, or a clear roadmap for initiating her freelance venture. However, the fear of future regret spurred her to take the leap. The initial phase of her freelance career proved exceptionally demanding. She dedicated her mornings to seeking work online, reaching out to small businesses, reconnecting with former contacts, and building a portfolio website to showcase her skills. There were days with no responses, and others where potential clients offered minimal compensation for projects. Maintaining motivation was a constant struggle, with some days involving extensive work hours yielding almost no income. She admits to moments of despair, contemplating a return to her previous employment. Yet, a deep-seated conviction urged her to persevere and allow the process time to unfold. Nina resolved to view every small effort, every email sent, every design created, every new skill acquired as a step towards improvement. She actively pursued learning opportunities through free online courses, design webinars, and informative articles on marketing and freelancing. This self-education highlighted that success in freelancing extends beyond artistic talent, encompassing crucial skills in communication and organization. She learned to articulate her ideas effectively, manage her time judiciously, and navigate interactions with a diverse range of clients. Gradually, her situation began to transform. Her design quality improved, her confidence grew, and new clients began to approach her, many through referrals from satisfied former clients. This marked a pivotal moment, confirming she was on the right trajectory. Nina's current life presents a markedly different picture. Her mornings typically commence around 8 o'clock. She prepares coffee, reviews her emails, and creates a daily to-do list. Her living room has been transformed into her workspace, a cozy area enhanced by natural light from a large window, and personalized with plants and art prints. She finds this environment conducive to focus and creativity, a stark contrast to the impersonal and distracting atmosphere of her former office. On days with a heavy workload, she can immerse herself in her tasks for extended periods, but she makes a point of taking short breaks to stretch, hydrate, or step outside for fresh air. On pleasant days, she sometimes relocates her work to a nearby cafe, finding the ambient sounds of conversation and activity surprisingly energizing. The paramount benefit of freelancing, for Nina, is the unparalleled sense of freedom it affords. She has the agency to select projects that align with her interests and dictate the manner in which she undertakes them. Spontaneous days off or late-night work sessions are entirely within her control, a flexibility that profoundly enhances her job satisfaction. She can structure her schedule according to her personal energy levels, rather than being bound by conventional office hours, a form of liberty she deeply values. However, Nina candidly acknowledges that freelancing is not devoid of challenges, many of which remain unseen by others. The solitary nature of the work means there is no immediate source of feedback or affirmation. She occasionally misses the camaraderie of colleagues, sharing a laugh, or seeking quick advice. Financial instability is another significant concern. While some months are exceptionally prosperous, others can be remarkably slow, creating stress, particularly when financial obligations must be met. To mitigate this, she has developed a practice of saving a portion of her earnings during abundant periods. To buffer against leaner months, freelancing has cultivated in her a strong sense of responsibility and a long-term perspective. She has also honed her skills in client management and learned to detach personally from feedback. Initially, she took criticism of her designs to heart, but she now understands the subjective nature of aesthetic preferences. She emphasizes that effective communication is fundamental, and by actively listening and posing pertinent questions, one can often achieve mutually agreeable outcomes. A crucial lesson learned is the importance of self-belief. In the absence of external motivation, individuals must cultivate this drive internally. Nina reminds herself that every project, regardless of its scale, presents an opportunity for learning and growth. Setbacks are viewed not as failures but as integral components of the developmental process. In her evenings, Nina disconnects from work entirely, putting away her devices and engaging in activities that promote relaxation. These may include going for a run, meeting friends for dinner, or simply enjoying calming music while cooking. She also finds joy in drawing purely for her own pleasure, an activity that rekindles a childlike sense of freedom and creativity, free from the pressures of deadlines or external scrutiny. This personal drawing practice reconnects her with the fundamental reason she pursued design in the first place: the sheer love of creation. The simple satisfaction derived from completing a drawing she genuinely likes provides the very sense of freedom she sought when leaving her corporate job. Reflecting on her decision, Nina expresses pride in having taken the risk. While acknowledging the significant difficulty of the undertaking, she recognizes how it has profoundly reshaped her, fostering greater organization, patience, and self-assurance. Most importantly, she has learned that genuine independence involves not isolation, but rather taking ownership of one's decisions and cultivating the trust in oneself to forge a personal path. This journey requires patience, a gradual, step-by-step approach, and unwavering belief in the ultimate destination. Despite earning less than before and lacking a large support team, Nina wakes each morning with a sense of pride in her work, having crafted a life that feels authentically hers. Each completed project and each satisfied client brings a smile, affirming that she is precisely where she is meant to be. If this narrative resonated with you easily, congratulations are in order. Your English proficiency is at the upper intermediate level, or possibly higher, and you are now poised for more advanced English that encompasses deeper cognitive engagement and introspection. Let us now advance to the C1, or advanced, level of proficiency. At the C1 advanced level, English truly attains a natural and expressive quality. You will encounter more abstract concepts, extended sentence structures, and profound reflections on both professional endeavors and lived experiences. Pay close attention to the sophisticated interconnections between ideas and the nuanced expression of emotions through rhythm and carefully chosen language. The story at this level is presented by David, a project manager in the technology sector with nearly a decade of experience. Over this time, He has observed that managing people often presents a greater complexity than managing projects themselves. While projects are defined by clear timelines, budgets, and quantifiable outcomes, individuals are characterized by their emotions, unique ideas, and diverse perspectives on the same situation. The art of balancing these two aspects is what makes his role both captivating and, at times, exceptionally demanding. David's typical day begins early, as he prefers to arrive at the office before others. During the period of quietude, this initial hour establishes the operational rhythm for the remainder of his day. He begins by preparing coffee, accessing his laptop, and reviewing the status of ongoing projects. This time is dedicated to processing communications from clients, reviewing team updates, and proactively identifying potential challenges. It is his designated period for contemplation, strategic planning, and preparation before the day's dynamic activities commence. Upon the team's arrival, the office environment transforms, filling with activity, conversation, and a collective sense of purpose. Every project undertaken is unique, ranging from the development of entirely new applications to the enhancement of existing systems. Each endeavor necessitates diligent coordination among developers, designers, and clients. My role is not centered on performing the technical tasks myself, but rather on ensuring that every team member possesses the requisite resources to perform at their peak. I function as a facilitator, connecting individuals, proactively addressing and eliminating potential obstacles, and ensuring that everyone remains aligned with the project's objectives. In essence, my position is akin to that of a bridge, seamlessly linking disparate elements of the process to cultivate smooth and effective communication. When a team member exhibits signs of being lost or experiencing stress, my initial inclination is to listen attentively rather than to issue directives. It has taken me years to internalize the understanding that effective leadership is not about possessing all the answers, but rather about cultivating an environment where individuals feel secure enough to pose questions and freely share their ideas. The majority of workplace challenges do not stem from a deficiency in skill, but rather from a lack of comprehension or ineffective communication. When individuals feel genuinely heard and understood, they are often capable of discovering their own resolutions. I have also come to appreciate that exemplary leadership is not predicated on control, but on the cultivation of trust. When your team places trust in you, they are more inclined to be candid, to acknowledge errors, to offer constructive feedback, and to embrace accountability. However, trust is not an entity that materializes instantaneously. It is a sentiment that is meticulously built over time through unwavering consistency, inherent fairness, and profound respect. It cannot be demanded, it must be earned. Within my team, I endeavor to maintain transparency in decision-making processes. Should an issue arise, we address it openly. I prioritize candid honesty, even when the revelations may be difficult to hear. Over the passive accumulation of unspoken frustrations, individuals tend to respect clarity, even when the message is not entirely palatable. When the team comprehends the underlying rationale for a decision, they are more likely to accept it, even in the absence of complete agreement. Furthermore, when endeavors yield positive outcomes, I consistently strive to acknowledge and celebrate these successes, even in modest ways, such as a message of sincere appreciation, an informal team lunch, or a few words of commendation. These gestures incur no cost but carry significant weight. Naturally, circumstances do not always unfold with perfect precision. Deadlines may shift, client preferences can evolve, or unforeseen technical complications may emerge. In such critical junctures, my responsibility is to maintain a sense of calm and focus among the team. If I were to succumb to panic, it would invariably propagate throughout the team. Consequently, I endeavor to remain grounded and to reiterate to everyone that mistakes are an inherent facet of the process, not definitive indicators of failure. We collectively analyze what transpired, rectify the situation collaboratively, and then proceed forward. The act of attributing blame is counterproductive. The emphasis lies on learning and growth. The objective is to transmute setbacks into valuable pedagogical experiences. One particular project that remains indelibly etched in my memory involved a substantial software launch approximately 2 years ago. Every element appeared to be meticulously prepared, or so we believed. Tragically, merely 2 days prior to the scheduled release, the system experienced a catastrophic failure during the final testing phase. The entire team dedicated themselves to late hours in a concerted effort to pinpoint the exact source of the problem. Fatigue and frustration permeated the atmosphere. Instead of intensifying the pressure, I suggested a brief respite for everyone. We procured food, stepped outside for a change of scenery, and engaged in conversation, deliberately steering clear of work-related topics. An hour later, a developer experienced an epiphany, identifying the precise location of the bug. The subsequent resolution required a mere 10 minutes. That singular moment imparted a profound lesson. Sometimes, progress is facilitated not by relentless effort, but by pausing the exertion. Intense pressure can obscure one's vision, whereas a shift in perspective can bring unparalleled clarity. I frequently contemplate the extent to which my professional role has provided me with invaluable insights into life in general. In both professional and personal contexts, effective communication serves as the cornerstone. When we articulate our thoughts with clarity and actively engage in attentive listening, challenges tend to diminish in magnitude. Conversely, when we resort to avoidance, make assumptions, or rush through interactions, minor issues can escalate into significant obstacles. This understanding underscores my commitment to maintaining honesty and composure. Even when confronted with considerable pressure, I have learned that the tone of one's voice can often wield more influence than words themselves. A benevolent and understanding tone can resolve situations that an abundance of written communication might fail to address. Another significant lesson I have assimilated pertains to resilience, the inherent capacity to recover and persevere following adverse events. Projects may falter, clients may depart, and budgets are subject to alteration. However, by steadfastly maintaining a stable mindset, the ability to reconstruct and move forward always remains achievable. I convey to my team that resilience is analogous to a muscle it strengthens with each instance of its application. When an initiative does not yield the desired outcome, we do not perceive it as wasted effort, but rather as valuable training for the subsequent challenge. Following extended days saturated with meetings, screen time, and pressing deadlines, I find myself in deep need of tranquility. This is precisely why I cherish quiet pursuits such as walking, reading, and cooking. For me, cooking is an almost meditative experience. It represents one of the few activities that allows me to concentrate on a single, straightforward task: the meticulous chopping of vegetables, the artful blending of flavors, the patient anticipation of a simmer. It serves as a subtle yet potent reminder that not every meaningful endeavor requires a frenetic pace. I also harbor a profound fondness for reading, particularly biographies and works on psychology. These sources enhance my understanding of human nature, which, in turn, contributes to my effectiveness as a manager. Occasionally, I recognize reflections of my own behavior within the narratives I encounter, prompting personal growth and self-improvement. Learning, I have come to realize, is not confined to formal educational settings. It is a continuous process that unfolds quietly each day through interactions with others and the navigation of life's diverse circumstances. I am frequently asked if I ever experience boredom engaging in such seemingly simple activities after the intensity of a demanding workday. My response is consistently no. For me, serenity is not a pursuit that involves escaping life's complexities, but rather a quality that is cultivated through one's chosen responses to them. It is a conscious decision, a daily practice. I have learned to discern between those aspects of life over which I have control and those that lie beyond my influence. This distinction, I believe, represents one of the most formidable yet indispensable lessons of adulthood. If there is one overarching lesson that my career has imparted, it is that success is not solely defined by the completion of projects or the attainment of predefined goals. It is intrinsically linked to the personal growth and development that occurs throughout the journey. Each challenge encountered provides an opportunity to cultivate greater patience, to hone listening skills, and to deepen empathy. Leadership is not acquired through the perusal of books or the accumulation of titles. It is forged through lived experience, through interactions with people, and through the valuable lessons gleaned from mistakes. Leadership is learned in those critical moments when circumstances unravel, and one is tasked with the responsibility of holding everything together. In those very moments, the profound realization dawns that both leadership and life itself are not ultimately about control, but about the cultivation of meaningful connection. The more actively you engage in listening, the more profound the trust that develops between individuals. This mutual trust, in turn, fosters enhanced performance within the team. Consequently, when success is achieved, it is not perceived as an isolated triumph but as a collective accomplishment, a shared victory. This aspect constitutes the most deeply rewarding element of my professional endeavors. Witnessing personal growth. Observing individuals cultivating the confidence to eventually assume leadership roles themselves. While managing projects presents inherent complexities, the true challenge, and indeed the accompanying joy, lies in guiding people, empowering them to believe in their own capabilities, and helping them discover their purpose. For at the conclusion of any project, what truly endures are not the formal reports or the quantifiable metrics, but rather the invaluable human connections forged, the profound lessons learned, and the quiet, unarticulated sense of accomplishment derived from having made a meaningful contribution. In essence, the ability to navigate intricate discussions and to comprehend deeply emotional expressions with apparent ease indicates a level of English proficiency close to that of a native speaker. However, it is crucial to recognize that fluency is not a final destination but rather an ongoing journey. Even at the most advanced stages, there remains an unending landscape of new concepts to explore, fresh narratives to absorb, and innovative avenues through which to articulate one's identity. Life's most significant challenges often lie not in the act of making decisions, but in fully grasping their far-reaching implications. In our youth, we tend to envision each choice as a gateway to a superior reality, a more fulfilling career, a more desirable locale, or an enhanced version of ourselves. We traverse these gateways sequentially, seldom pausing to acknowledge what is being left behind. However, with the passage of time, we inevitably reflect upon the dual nature of every decision, recognizing that each brings both gains and losses. Something is acquired, while something else is relinquished. For an extended period, I pursued advancement without a clear sense of direction. I transitioned between jobs, relocated to different cities, and altered my aspiration, consistently advising myself that I was progressing. Yet, in reality, I was often not moving toward anything specific, but rather merely attempting to escape a state of stillness. A curious apprehension accompanies stillness, as if silence possesses the potential to unearth what we have diligently endeavored to conceal from ourselves. It has taken me years to understand that silence is not an absence but rather a profound fullness, teeming with resonant truths that emerge only when the surrounding clamor finally subsides. In contemporary times, my lifestyle has undergone a transformation. My mornings are characterized by a deliberate slowness. I prepare coffee, open a window, and allow the gentle morning light to illuminate my surroundings. This simple, fleeting moment feels like the most authentic part of my day. I resist the urge to immediately attend to messages or to consult my schedule. Instead, I simply sit and attune myself to the subtle vibrations of the world, to the whispers of my own thoughts, and to whatever emanates from the silent spaces that exist between experiences. I once held the belief that meaning was derived from action. Now, I understand that it flourishes through introspection. I continue to engage in professional work as a consultant, but my relationship with it has evolved. What previously felt like burdensome pressure now resembles a valuable practice. While the work is inherently technical and logical, I consciously seek to uncover the human element embedded within its intricate structures. True progress, in my estimation, is not achieved when systems become more efficient, but rather when the individuals within those systems begin to feel genuinely understood and valued. It is possible to reconfigure an entire organization, but without fostering a transformative shift in the inner lives of its people, how they perceive themselves and how they connect with one another, no fundamental change will truly occur. Beyond my professional life, I engage in writing, not with the intention of reaching an audience, but as a means of fostering greater self-awareness. Writing serves as an unvarnished mirror, revealing the truth without flattery. It delineates the origins of my thoughts and the points at which they resist conclusion. On some days, I explore the past, not to dwell there, but to glean knowledge. On other days, I contemplate the future, not to make predictions, but to find a measure of peace with the inherent uncertainty that accompanies the unknown. Occasionally, words possess the capacity to bestow a sense of ineffable clarity and emotion that, while impossible to precisely articulate, can nonetheless be deeply felt. Lately, my reflections have centered on the nature of time, not as a linear progression of moments, but as a dimension through which we navigate. Certain moments feel expansive and enduring, while others vanish before we even register their presence. I have come to realize that the perceived quality of time is influenced less by our activities, and more by the degree of our attentiveness during those activities. A single moment of genuine presence can possess a lasting impact that far surpasses an entire day spent in a state of haste. I once equated growth with the accumulation of possessions, accomplishments, accolades, and experiences. My perspective has since shifted. For me, growth is fundamentally an act of subtraction, the art of relinquishing. It is the deliberate choice to let go of certain elements to create space for what truly matters to flourish. We inhabit a world that venerates addition. More goals, more motion, more noise. However, genuine wisdom lies in discerning when to pause, when to rest, and when to acknowledge that this is sufficient. Perhaps this very understanding constitutes true freedom, not the unbridled pursuit of every desire, but the quiet realization that such unchecked pursuit is ultimately unnecessary. For me, freedom signifies a state of serene equanimity, attained when one ceases to measure life by the quantity of possessions one can amass, and instead cultivates an appreciation for the present. The older I become, the more profoundly I recognize that peace is not a destination waiting at the end of a journey, but rather something that accompanies us intimately, present in the rhythm of our own footsteps, in the gentle warmth of the morning sun, and in the silent certainty that life is unfolding in this very moment, and that this moment, in its entirety, is already more than enough.